Welcome to Problem Solve, the podcast where me and a special co-host solve all your problems really easily, probably.
Problems? Are you kidding me? I don't have any problems. Okay, I might have a few, but I can work on them with you. Come on.
This is a podcast where we explore the intricate world of relationships and navigate the complexity of mental health together. I am Jeff Gunther, a licensed therapist, but in this space, I'm your host, not your personal therapist or the therapist for our guests. This show offers a platform for open conversations about relationship and mental health challenges, providing insights and perspectives for educational and entertainment purposes only. It's crucial to remember that our discussions do not replace professional therapy or constitute a therapist-client relationship between myself, our callers, or you, our listeners. If you're dealing with personal struggles or seeking support, I urge you to consult with a qualified professional who can provide the personalized care you deserve. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to Problem Solved. I am your host, Jeff Gunther, licensed professional counselor. It is a solo episode today. I love solo episodes, but I will be having some guests coming back, so stay tuned for that. You all sent me some really great questions that were interesting, difficult to answer, and relatable. My favorite type of question. If you feel compelled to send me one of your questions, all you have to do is record your voice on your phone, make a little voice memo, and email it to me at jeff@therapyjeff.com, and I will listen to it and most likely answer it. So do that now. Or, whenever you feel like you need a little bit of help. I'm going to give you a little peek behind the curtain of how I'm feeling, and then we're going to get into the questions. I'm going to be really vulnerable, which means I'm going to be such a great role model for all of you on how to express your feelings in an authentic way. I am burnt the fuck out. I did not know almost 3 years ago when I started the Therapy Jeff account on TikTok that it was going to take off. It did on the 4th video that I posted. The first 3 videos were me trying to be funny. It was a weird kind of funny. It was like a real kooky funny that did not work. And so the 4th video is here's 5 questions to ask your therapist the next time you see them. And it went viral. And I was like, okay, cool. Those first 3 videos that were weird and kooky, you will not be able to find them on the internet. They're gone forever. And then it got really exciting. And then I got really into it. And this was also around the time that I decided to put up a boundary with my mom and my sister. And I was like, I'm not going to continue having a relationship with you unless we go to family therapy. Still waiting on that, mom and sister. But it just, I'm over it, I swear. Can't you tell? It coincided with, okay, I feel like I never really got the love and validation and attention that I wanted so badly from my family when I was a kid. And then all of a sudden I start going viral on TikTok and then eventually Instagram, and I get all of the validation and attention that I could ever want. So that was interesting timing and definitely filled this void inside of my heart, right? And I didn't know it at the time, which, you would think maybe a therapist or the internet's number one therapist would understand what was going on psychologically. But I didn't know that I was just so craving it and going down this sort of rabbit hole of addiction. I wasn't getting the validation I wanted from my mom, but I was getting it from millions and millions of people on the internet. So that'll do. Not to mention, my boss then became Daddy Algorithm. All of a sudden I had to please TikTok and Instagram. And I was doing that at first because I was posting during the pandemic when we were all going through a mental health crisis and we're all having relationship issues and we're all spending way too much time on our phones at home. So I was very lucky. I also got to, I got into fights, very public fights on TikTok with Big Therapy. I have a cease and desist, and I can't say which big therapy app I got into it with. And that sort of catapulted me into another level. But Big Therapy all the big therapy apps, they were also marketing like crazy to all of your favorite podcasts about how you should go to therapy, and look at all these celebrities and influencers that are going to therapy. And so it destigmatized therapy in a really big way. I don't like those apps, but I like the effect that it had on the collective. And because therapy all of a sudden became cool, interesting, looked up to, and we all started putting I go to therapy on my dating apps, along with me and a bunch of other mental health creators creating a bunch of content. But we got to ride this wave that big therapy was spending millions and millions of dollars on marketing for. So it all just fell into place for me. Now, I'm not saying that I don't have amazing content. I do. We know this. I'm not saying that my beautiful face and my pretty privilege didn't get me extra viewers. Of course it did. I'm extremely handsome. You all tell me this, and I believe it. But yeah, I make good content, and I got lucky is what happened. And then eventually, after a year of making content, not doing any sponsored brand deals, not making any money, I was like, okay, I'm going to pivot into this full time now, and I'm going to try to make some money. And at the time, I wasn't like, I want to do a cash grab because I don't know how long this is going to last. At the time, I was like, I think maybe I'm just going to do this the rest of my life. And I saw that there was creators on the apps before me that were like, you're lucky if you're going to last 3 years. This is an incredibly difficult job. And once I started to try to make money from it, which I did, and I have, and I've been surviving off of that, I then eventually found out how grueling it could be. It's hard to come up with ideas every single day and film it and write the script and edit it and post it and manage the comments and create your community and try to get people to go to your Patreon and try to get people to like buy the things that you're selling for these other companies. And then start to deal with all of the weird shit, some of the hate or the criticism, whether it's constructive criticism or just, I don't like Therapy Jeff's face, so I'm going to be mean to him criticism, started to kind of find its way into different parts of the internet. And I became obsessed with trying to figure out, what are these haters saying? I want to know. It felt like this weird, this doesn't make sense, but it felt like this weird gift of finding out what anonymous people think about you, and they have absolutely no filters. Like, we don't usually get that information. When people don't like us or we rub them the wrong way, they shut up about it. Or friends are not really straightforward with us about it sometimes. Anyways, that was the wrong thing to do. I should not have scoured the internet for Therapy Jeff criticism or trolling. That really fucked with my mental health. And from then on, I just started to become, I created boundaries so that I didn't do that anymore, but I started to become extra sensitive to criticism. You know this. I've talked about this before. Not too long, a couple of weeks ago, I got a bad podcast review and it ruined my fucking day. I'm not built for getting as much feedback as I have been getting. I'm built for getting all the positive feedback. I mean, who isn't built for that, right? But the 0.1% negative feedback can ruin a day, can ruin a week, can make me think about deleting everything and getting off the fucking internet. I started writing a book about 6 months or 9 months into posting online, and I put so much effort into that book. The book comes out in a week. In 1 week. Next week, on Tuesday, the book comes out. It is my favorite piece of art that I've ever made. It is my heart and soul. It is so funny. It is incredibly creative. There's so many resources in that book. I think it's incredibly helpful. It helps people, have healthy relationships in the dating world and long term. It's great. I highly recommend. And I covet this book. But the book took 2 years to write and then edit and then market and then print. And then like the publishing company, the publishing world is so slow, and it feels like it's so backwards because it's just like they don't pay their authors enough. As an artist, yes, I am an artist. I count myself as an artist. My art is podcasting. My art is content creation. You might not think that's art. It is fucking art. So my art, my work, when I give it to a publisher and they want to change it based on whatever the fuck their reason is, good reasons or what I think is like silly reasons, you kind of have to find a compromise. Now, all that being said, I'm still very happy with my book. I was a little, it was probably pretty helpful with them giving some feedback about how maybe I should not be as angry with like the dating apps, for instance, or I don't know, capitalism. So they kind of, it's a little toned down with like how spicy it can be. But it came out really good. I'm really proud of it. However, it's just been a grueling process writing this book. And I'm so excited for it to come out and just to see what you all think about it. But if I didn't have this book coming out, I would have stopped. I would have stopped being Therapy Jeff by now. I'd probably still have this podcast because I enjoy podcasting. There's something about like making long form content. But I'm done with TikTok and Instagram. I cannot fucking stand it. It feels toxic. It feels gross. I still think I'm pretty good at it and I put out good content, but I need to take a break. I need to take like a month-long break. And that is what I'm planning to do, to take a month-long break from TikTok and Instagram once I'm on the other side of the book. I cannot wait. And I'm also hoping that this book will help me get to some other level in my career so I don't have to post so much on TikTok and Instagram. I say this, though, knowing that I am fully addicted to posting and I'm fully addicted to getting the views and getting the positive comments. And I'm still not talking to my mom or sister. And I'm going to have to kind of confront things that maybe I haven't confronted psychologically once I start posting less. I'm also going to be at the 92nd Street Y in New York City on July 10th. That's also next week on Wednesday. If you're in New York City, please come to that. I'm putting a lot of my self-worth on filling up that 250-seat theater. I will be in conversation with somebody extremely interesting, talking to me about relationships and dating and the book that I just wrote. I cannot announce that person quite yet, but you will love them. I guarantee it. And I just want to see you in person. That's part of like the burnout, is that I don't have any real IRL interaction. And it's driving me fucking crazy. I put on a really good live show. You're going to have a really good time. If you're in New York City or in the area, July 10th, Wednesday at 7 p.m., get your ticket. It's only $25. You're going to fucking have a great time with me and my very special guest that I cannot announce yet, but I will be able to announce very soon. Anyways, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're listening. I feel like you and I like actually have a really good relationship because it's a podcast parasocial relationship, which is still, yeah, it's a parasocial relationship, but it's the very best kind. We all know this. Okay. I didn't mean to get you or anyone into a weird mood. I just wanted to be transparent about what I've been feeling lately. And I feel like there's a good chance that after I'm done with this intro, it's going to go into an ad. If that happens, I think it might be a little jarring because it's a different vibe. But I'm really excited for a jarring moment. Okay, here we go. Hey, do you want to get laid better? Or do laying better? I think you do. I think we all do. And I want to influence you in a positive way to go check out Beducated. Beducated is one of my favorite places to go for sex education. You might think that you're getting all the sexual education that you need from the porns that you watch. My friend, you are not. Porn is meant for entertainment, not for education. You go to Beducated for the sex ed that you never got. and that you don't even know that you need. There is over 100 online courses on sex and intimacy created by the world's top experts. There is a huge variety, everything from self-pleasure to kink, and it's all in one place. It includes video tutorials of actual people doing sexy stuff with like practical exercises. You know what? I'm going to tell you about some of my favorite courses. Some top courses are the blowjob course, which is like you might think that you're already an expert on getting a blowjob or asking your partner to give you a blowjob. There are so many things that you might be missing when it comes to a blowjob that you haven't even experienced before. This is just such a lovely date night. It's fun, it's cute, it's a little silly, it's super sexy. Also, the course on cunnilingus so that you know how to lick like a pro. Penetration. Do you want to just get the most out of all the positions? Have you wanted to try a position but you don't know exactly how to do it or if it would like be a good idea for you and your partner or partners? There is a course on it. Or there's just like a course. You know what I love about Beducated is that there's also a course on intimate touch where you're just tips for touching each other in sweet erotic ways. Or you can go for the erotic massage. Why are you not getting these courses already? Solving premature ejaculation, solving erectile dysfunction. So you can watch that on your own if you want, but I really encourage you to watch that with your partner. There's so many things that you can learn. Or just the course on female orgasm. There's literally over 100 courses. You can go to beducate.me/problem solved or click the link in the show notes and sign up to Beducated. Use the code problem solved, all one word, to get 40% off the yearly pass. Test the waters with a 24-hour free trial. It's risk-free. You also have a 14-day money-back guarantee. Again, go to beducate.me/problem solved, or you can use the promo code problem solved, it's one word, to get 40% off the yearly pass. Go there now.
Hi, Jeff. I love your work. I follow you on Instagram and I saw you putting a call out for voice memos for your next podcast. And I thought I'd shoot you an email. Last week I was giving my boyfriend a blowjob and he was kind of talking dirty to me and he accidentally said his ex's name instead of my name. That's never happened to me before. I've never done that to anyone. I've never had that happen to me. So I got pretty upset. I was crying a little bit. Told him I was freaked out, didn't want to continue, stopped everything. He's apologized. He knows how bad that made me feel. And, he's done what he can to apologize and make me feel better, but I'm still just not feeling right about it. He is in contact with this person fairly regularly, and I was cool about that, but now I'm kind of questioning that. So I just don't really know what to do. I don't know if I should ask to see like their text thread or ask him to stop talking to this person. I'm not really that kind of girl. I don't really like controlling my partner, but I just feel icky about this and it's kind of a new experience for me. So I just don't really know what to do. We do need to still have a conversation about it so he can really understand how I feel, which we're going to do, but I just don't know if I should be like giving an ultimatum. I'm not really that girl, so I don't really know what to do. I just wanted to ask your opinion. Thanks. Bye.
Ugh, this is horrifying. Is it horrifying? It sounds horrifying to me. Here's the thing. I asked a few people about this in the past couple days, and I got some real mixed responses. People were just like, who cares? Move on. It happens. And others were like, yeah, there's absolutely no way I could recover from that. So it's across the board, lots of different reactions. But as I'm listening to this question, oh my God, my heart breaks. I feel so bad for you that you had to experience this. Of course, this is kind of like our biggest fear. Maybe it's not our biggest fear, but it is a big fear. I also want to say that I feel really bad for him. I would imagine that he feels so guilty that he hurt your feelings and that he accidentally said his ex's name. Ugh. And in such a vulnerable position when it should just be about you two and all the sexy vibes that are going on, he feels probably so much guilt. You feel so upset. There's a lot of emotions going on, and I want to just validate all the feelings that are in the room. I will say it's not uncommon for us to think of an ex or a past sexy time when we're having a really sexy time with our current person. Like, obviously, he's chosen you. He likes you. He likes to do sexy things with you. And just because this, it's almost like a Pavlovian response, right? What I mean by that is, so let's say you've been dating somebody for a year or 2 or 5, and you do lots of sexy things with them. And one of the things that you do while you're having sex is call out their name or associate the sexy thing with them and their name. And then eventually you get into a new relationship. Your brain and neural pathways have all been set up so that when you feel aroused, your neural pathways are going to make you think of that last person. And if you used to say their name during sex, then there's going to be a big part of you that wants to say their name again. It's Pavlovian. We call it Pavlovian because of that dude, Pavlov, who rang the bell and made the dogs salivate. That's not important. Anyways, just because your boyfriend is having a Pavlovian response to being aroused, it does not have to mean anything. It could just mean that somebody rang a bell and he started to salivate. No big deal. So, but that being said, I get that you are attaching so much meaning to it, but I don't know if this is going to work for you. So totally toss this in the bushes if it doesn't. You are the one that gets to decide how much meaning it is. You know what I mean? So if you feel like you have a really good connection, it feels really secure, there's a really sexy thing going on, lots of sweet chemistry, and there's nothing to really worry about here, and you're feeling good about the relationship, then hopefully there's a strong enough foundation or strong enough vibes so that it can tolerate something like this that actually doesn't have to be meaningful at all. Now, I'm not saying this to invalidate your very real emotional reaction to it. Does that work for you? I don't know. Maybe there's no deeper meaning. Maybe it doesn't mean that he's actually still in love or wanting to fuck his ex, right? Also, we're in this sort of animalistic place where when we're fucking sometimes, where we just sort of let go and allow ourselves to experience it. And so every now and then something's going to slip out. You're going to say something that you don't mean, whether it's like some funny dirty talk thing, or it's an ex that was kind of plugged in there from a long time ago. So there's that. I also want to talk about things that I love here in this situation. I love that he is taking accountability, or at least trying to take responsibility for the impact that he's had on you. I love that you stopped and that you listened to your body and your heart so that you didn't continue doing something that didn't feel okay after he said that. I love that both of you are trying to move through it. I love that you're both expressing yourselves emotionally. I love that you have another date on the calendar where you're going to let him know what your emotional experience was so that he can get to understand it even more. I hope that he's able to step into those shoes or socks, if you're a socks girly when you're doing sexy things, so that he can understand how you're doing, so he can continue to take even more accountability and empathize emotionally. That'll probably help you if he does that. I love that you two are trying to figure this out together. I love that you're not punishing him. I don't think you're punishing. I don't think you're punishing him. I don't think that you're trying to pull away from him. I don't think that you're disconnecting on purpose. I don't think that you're being passive aggressive. I love that for you. You're so healthy. I'm so proud of you. I love that you're really thinking about this. It really sounds like you are valuing this relationship, as is he. Now I'm going to sound like such a fucking therapist here, and you're going to want to punch me in the throat for this, but wow, what an opportunity you two have to heal this disruption, this rupture, this discord, this what sounds like a very unfortunate accident. And I imagine that you two will be even closer at the end of it. This is a real opportunity for you. The thing is that yes, this sucks, but if this relationship continues, as I imagine it will, or in any relationship that you're going to be in, you're going to be let down. You're going to be hurt. You're going to be sad. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be angry. And I don't know if this is the first time this type of thing has happened or if you've never been this upset before, but you're going to have to figure out how you're going to heal while also being deeply hurt. How is he going to show up and take accountability and rebuild this trust maybe that was broken? This is an opportunity. You most likely will be closer because of it. And it'll maybe create like a schematic on how you're going to heal and solve other ruptures that happen. So there's that. I love that for you. This might feel like a betrayal for you. And so if you want a betrayal, as in you're being really intimate, you're doing some sexy stuff, he said his ex's name, and now you feel betrayed. Like, what is going on? I don't know if I can trust him. Does he really like her? Right? Does he want to be with her instead of me? So, like we've been saying, first step, make sure he understands how this has impacted you. And make him repeat it as much as you possibly want so that you can know that he understands the emotional experience. And then ask yourself what you need to rebuild that trust. So you ended the question with, you're not an ultimatum girly. And that's not who you are. That's not authentically who you are, right? So if that's not who you authentically are, I'd say don't be that. But if you want to rebuild trust in some ways that feel important to you, like asking him more information about this friendship with his ex, or asking to hang out with him when he hangs out with the ex, or asking what he writes in his text messages to his ex, like you can ask for whatever you want. He can say yes or no, but you can let him know that you're trying to rebuild the trust by getting even more information so that you can feel secure. There's a sense of insecurity and you want to feel a lot more security. If you want him to not hang out with his ex as much because you're feeling anxious about it, you can put that on the table. He can say no, or he can say, let's compromise, or he can say, yes, definitely for a certain amount of time, I want to concentrate on this relationship and make you feel special and important. So that is what I think. Like I did for everyone during the intro, if you listened to the intro and didn't skip through it, because I can imagine that was, kind of a long intro that maybe we didn't all want to listen to. But I want you to allow yourself to be as petty as you want when it comes to expressing your feelings. Do not invalidate yourself. Really let it out. Make sure that he understands. Use this as an opportunity to grow. Know that maybe you've never done it and would never do this sort of thing, like saying an ex's name while you're having sex or receiving oral sex, but it doesn't have to have a lot of meaning. It doesn't have to mean what your anxious heart thinks it means. And maybe you can let him off the hook so that one day when you do something, hopefully not exactly like this, but something, he can be really understanding and let you off the hook too. Okay. I think that's it. I think I solved your problem. Okay, let's go on to the next question.
Hi, Therapy Jeff. I'm a big fan of yours, and thank you for all of your content that you put out there for us. I was in a relationship with someone for around 2 years. Before that, I had been in an abusive marriage for almost 10 years. So I struggle a lot with self-esteem and self-worth, and setting boundaries. And I am in therapy and have been for a while, and I'm working on it. But in my last relationship, the one that lasted about 2 years, my ex-boyfriend struggled with porn addiction, and he insulted my body, criticized the way that I look, told me I needed plastic surgery, would spend hours a day looking at porn, masturbated to pictures of his ex-girlfriends, had active dating apps, and was looking online at sex workers. So I, don't know the full extent, but obviously this took a very extreme toll on my view of myself and self-worth, and especially when it comes to my appearance, when all of those things that are tied up with, being a woman in society and how much value is placed on how you look, which has made it really, really hard for me. So just even now, anytime I see another woman, I'm constantly comparing myself. I have very negative thoughts about the way that I look, how much I weigh, issues with my body. I've considered getting plastic surgery. And what I want to ask is, how can I go about feeling confident and comfortable in my body and how I look, and accepting the fact that I am probably never going to be anyone's ideal partner based solely on my appearance.
Oh man, what a gut punch. Yeah, this one makes me really mad. I just want to kind of like express my anger for this one. I hate this guy. I fucking hate him. As a person, I should have compassion for him. But I'm not in contact with that right now. I can't stand him. I can't stand that he took his mental health issues and put all that bullshit on you. He should have been going to therapy. He should have been trying to heal himself. He should have had awareness about how he was impacting you. Instead, he was manipulative, made you feel like shit, tried to probably have power over you in the situation. Fuck that guy. You are so much better off without that piece of shit, and also without the other piece of shit that you were with for 10 years previously. I can't stand that people like this can have so much power over somebody like you, somebody like us. Like, it's just, and it's even more infuriating that all of this shit that he was doing to lower your self-esteem and confidence and body image is all perpetuated by patriarchy, by society, by the culture. So it's coming at you from all angles. You're sort of, as a woman especially, primed to feel shitty about yourself. And then this piece of fucking bullshit comes along and taps into that and is able to make you feel even worse. I don't like him. You don't deserve this. You didn't ask for any of this. I am extremely proud of you for getting out of those relationships. You might look back on that and feel bad for getting into them or staying in them for too long or whatever you want to say, but it took a lot of bravery and courage and strength to get out of those relationships. I'm so excited that you're liberated from it and that you're free from these relationships. And now you have the opportunity to be on your own and be chill, or find somebody that is such a healthier match for you. Again, you're strong, you're brave, you're courageous. You're a fucking role model. You've done it. You've gotten out of something that was incredibly difficult to get out of. You were being emotionally and mentally abused by that ex. There was something deeply wrong with him, and he was taking it out on you, and that is not fucking cool. So, let's get to your question that I think a lot of people can resonate with to a certain degree. Okay? So your question that you ended with was, how can you accept the fact that you won't be anyone's ideal physical partner based solely on your appearance? Okay, I feel like you might be being really hard on yourself. And I think that we can all be really critical of how we look and our body image and focusing on what we think are the negative or unattractive things about our bodies. I would invite you to try to focus on the things that you think are really sexy, really cute, really beautiful and pretty about your body instead of focusing on the things that you don't like. But also that nobody is physically ideal. I mean, even if you can believe it, like there are things about my body that some might think are unattractive, that I think are unattractive. I'm not going to be anybody's physical ideal. And that's just something I have to kind of accept. Even so, the person that falls in love with me, hopefully, because they're so in love with me, hopefully in a really healthy, secure way, they're going to really think that I'm attractive because they're so into me. And that is a thing that will happen for you too. You'll find a healthy connection and relationship. And because it feels so sweet and loving, they're also going to be super attracted to you. So I don't want you to think that you're not going to be, quote unquote, somebody's, physical ideal because you don't meet some sort of Western standard of beauty that patriarchy, society, the culture has told you that you need to be. Magazines and Hollywood. Are there still magazines? Magazines in Hollywood have told us that we need to look a certain way, and that if we don't, then we're not of value, especially women. I mean, I understand I'm coming from I have a man's perspective, and so I don't have the lived experience that you have, but I intellectually understand this. I want you to do your absolute best to shift the focus to your inner qualities. Your worth is not determined by your appearance and your physical attributes, even though you were told by this piece of shit, insecure asshole of a man that was true. We're not going to give him power. He's not getting any more fucking power. Fuck that guy. Patriarchy, society, culture, fuck them too. They're not fucking getting any goddamn power over you and how you feel about your body and how much your confidence and your self-worth. Fuck that. You're punk rock. You don't have to fucking rely on that bullshit. Does that do anything for you? When I say those things to me, that really does something for me. And it's true. I really do think I'm not just trying to spout that. So can we shift the focus to your inner qualities that are beautiful and lovely, whatever that might be, your sensitivity, your creativity, your sense of humor, your wit, your intelligence, your compassion, your ability to connect, how you show up in relationship, the value that you bring just based off of your connection, the emotional support that you give, all of these things. Those are the things that are most important. I think that we live in, a dating app based world where one of the things we look at on the apps are the photos. It's the first thing that we see is the photo, and we're just like, hot or not. And whether or not you are hot and meet the Western standard of beauty does not correlate with how healthy of a relationship you can have or how good of a partner you can be or the match that you're going to have with that person. As we know, you know this, but physical looks, they fade. We get this. And the thing that keeps us together is the bond, the memories, the secure attachment that we create. So focusing on your inner qualities and everything that makes you and how you show up in relationship, that is what matters. That is what people are going to be attracted to. You mentioned this, and it's easy for me to say, but it's a hard thing to do. Do your very best to limit comparisons. You can take some sort of proactive steps, right? You can stop following people that make you feel shitty on social media. You can try to track how often you're comparing yourself to people out there in the real world. So those are things that you can do. And also understanding that when you're comparing yourself to somebody, you're viewing them through the most positive lens that you have, looking at all their attractive, beautiful parts, and then you're comparing it to what you feel is like your most unattractive parts. You're imagining you're looking them in through these ideal lenses while you're looking at yourself through the most critical lenses. That's not fair. That's not a good comparison. And a lot of times we're scanning for reasons to feel bad about ourselves, and that means that we're scanning for people that feel like would be a better partner because of their sense of humor or how they look or their intelligence or whatever it is. So try to be as vigilant as you can and really limit those comparisons. When you do find yourself comparing yourself to somebody else, stop and then have compassion for yourself. I understand why I'm doing this. It makes sense why I'm doing this. I love myself. I am more than this physical attribute that I'm comparing incredibly critically, right? And also celebrate your uniqueness. Remember that no one else has what you have. Your unique combination of qualities, experiences, perspectives. So try to embrace your uniqueness as a strength instead of a limitation, which a lot of us tend to do. We're so unique in all these ways, and we're so weird, and there's no one out there that's going to match our specific brand of weird. No, that weird, unique, interesting thing about you is the thing that's going to magnetize all the good matches to you. So how can you celebrate the uniqueness? How can you practice the self-compassion? Like I said, be kind to yourself when a negative thought about your appearance arises. Can you counter it with that self-compassion? Self-compassion is sort of it's like the cheat code. If you all can master self-compassion, then life becomes so much easier. And also being your authentic self, right? When you are your authentic self, you are at your hottest. It's true. So do things that are authentically in alignment with who you really are, whether that's hobbies, whether that's speaking up, whether that's posting on social media, having an opinion, doing an activity, hanging with your friends or in your community. What can you do to be super authentic? Whenever you're authentic, people gravitate towards you. That's what I want you to focus on. And also focus on real compatibility, which is basically what I've been saying this whole time. Instead of worrying about being someone's physical ideal, based on your looks, think about compatibility in values, interests, and personality. These are the foundations, the bedrock of a healthy and lasting relationship. You've been through it. You've had 2 very difficult relationships. You might have had a really difficult childhood. There's a part of you that, is sort of that maybe seeks out relationships that make you feel bad about yourself. That is not me saying that this is your fault at all. It just might mean that there's something weirdly comforting, familiar about being in a relationship that makes you feel bad about yourself. So that's something to keep an eye on. I hate these piece of shit people that made you feel bad. They're fucking assholes. You're lovely. Okay, next question.
So believe it or not, I actually met someone organically and not on the apps. I met her while she was working at her job, and several months later, we finally went on a first date, which quickly turned into a second date the next day, which was awesome. We ended up kissing at the end of the night, which is great. So we're currently planning for our third date, and I kind of wanted this third date to be having the heavier conversations as far as what are you expecting? What are you hoping for a relationship or us dating? I was considering having the exclusivity talk, maybe not asking her outright, but it's kind of what that looks like for her. And I guess my question is how do I go about that? Of course I could ask straight up, but it's also difficult when I know she's on the apps, because I've seen her and I can see when she's active and she's a bad texter, but she's on the apps and not really texting me back. So how do I deal with that conversation, and also being mindful about the apps and maybe calling it out a little bit? I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
My guy, I like this question. Here we go. Look at you having a couple good dates, getting ready for that third date, trying to be really thoughtful and mindful about it. Sounds like you got a little crush. You want this to work out. I'm here for you, bud. Let's figure this out together. I love this question. You're trying to figure out how much you should ask for on the third date. Are you asking for too much? Does it get too heavy? Are you being too serious? I think that this takes a little bit of thought. I will say, I'm feeling a little bit of a red flag on your end. The red flag that came up, and then not a red flag like you're a bad, like somebody should break up with you or you should feel bad about this. A little flag that went off in my head was, okay, you're being a little hyper vigilant here, right? When you were talking about how you text her and sometimes she doesn't text back that quick, and then you check the apps and see that she's active on the app, so you know she's on her phone. You imagine she got your message and she'd rather be messaging somebody in the dating app instead of texting you back. That feels fishy, right? Like it seems like that's where you're coming from. And I feel like you're just being you're already just a little anxiously insecure, a little anxiously attached here. Nothing wrong with that. We love our anxiously attached cuties. And it makes sense that you feel anxious after date number 2 leading into date number 3, because who the fuck knows what's going to happen here, and you're having feelings. You don't want to get hurt. Or you don't get let down. And that's causing you to be a little hyper vigilant about her phone use. And you're also reading the tea leaves. You're trying to make sense over, okay, well, she was active here, but she hasn't texted me back. What does that mean? And is that kind of shitty of her? Is that not okay? And you don't get to make that call. She can use her phone for however she wants to use her phone. She can text you back or not text you back, or she can text other people in the app. You have no power over that. You have no control. You probably shouldn't have any influence over that after 2 dates. All that being said, I get where you're coming from, bud, and I'm not trying to shame you. I'm just trying to be like, I don't know, right? This is coming from an anxious place. I want you to think about how you can tolerate that anxiety without trying to get her to control it for you. So you're feeling anxious. In order for you to feel like you might be less anxious, you want her to not be as active on the apps and just text you back right away. You're giving her a lot of power. You're giving her a lot of influence over whether or not you're anxious. And maybe, if you find yourself in a full-fledged relationship with her and you feel a little insecure every now and then, or a lot insecure, then you can tell her about it and you two can work together in order to create more security in the relationship. Great. But you've only been on 2 dates, and I'd rather you try to soothe your own anxiety instead of trying to get her to do that for you. And the thing is, my guy, you might come off as controlling. Right? You might come off as like accusatory, and that's usually not a good look, especially after 2 dates, right? So I want you to just see if you can tolerate it in a different way. I'm going to give you some things that you might want to try to do. You can date other people. Maybe you're already doing that. Maybe you're on the apps too. Continue to go out on other dates, right? We're not putting all of our eggs in one basket, even though she sounds great and she seems lovely and we hope that it works out. But make sure you're messaging other people. Unless you don't want to, and that's not your vibe, and you do it one at a time, then okay, I'm going to respect that. Also, do other interesting things. Do your hobbies. Go out, see movies, live your life, right? Try to make it so that not all of your, positive things, good feelings are all tied up into this potential interaction or relationship. Live your life. Don't make this thing the main thing in your life. Try to tolerate the anxiety and uncertainty by getting in your body, doing deep breathing, exercising, doing mindfulness stuff. I don't know if this is you, but this is me. But like one of the things that I can do in order to soothe my anxiety is I play video games that are a little complicated. So it's probably not going to be Mario Kart, which is more of like I'm just twitching my thumbs and I'm I've been playing Mario Kart for 30 fucking years. I can do that mindlessly. That doesn't actually get my mind off of things. Instead, I might play, what's it called? God of War, right? Which is like, a PlayStation 5 game that I have. It just feels very intimidating to me, and I really got to think things through and learn how to fight and become stronger and collect weapons and work on my relationship with my son. Do you know that's a thing? Side note, what the fuck is this bullshit in video games where you're this big, strong fighter guy, and then you have your son with you and you have to develop a relationship with him? I mean, I'm a therapist that loves relationships, especially with your children, but I'm not sure I want to do dad stuff. Like, I need to be a good dad while I'm playing video games. All of this dadding is going on. There was another game where I had to take time out to play darts with my son and shoot hoops with my son in order to gain trust with my son, who I had left because I was trying to break out of jail. It was a whole thing. Anyways, maybe you concentrate on that relationship with your make-believe son in a video game. Treat yourself. Get a PS5. Spend time with friends. Spend time with your community. Let people know how you're feeling so they can validate your experience. Put the phone down when you find yourself being an investigator. If you're like, things aren't adding up here. She's online and she's not texting me back. That is a sign for you that you're going to put your phone down, turn it off, put it on Do Not Disturb, go for a fucking walk and touch some grass, right? These are ways that I want you to tolerate the anxiety instead of getting her to do it for you. Does that make sense? I think I'm being clear. All that being said, I do not think it's too early to have a talk about things, but you have to have a talk in a way that's appropriate for a third date, right? This isn't date number 10, 15, or 20. You're not 3 months into this dating and being like, what the fuck is going on here? You're just doing a check-in to see if you're on the same page. So you can ask her what her relationship goals are so that you can make sure that it might match up with yours or possibly be compatible, or think in your head if you can maybe kind of do a compromise if she wants to go, this way and you want to go slightly the other way. If you really want, you can ask about exclusivity. What does exclusivity look like to you in the future if we get to that point? But I'm not sure you should. And the reason is because I feel like it might be a bit of a slippery slope for you. I am not somebody who needs to it's not up to me when you or anyone should be exclusive. You can do that on the first date or the 100th date or never or always. But the vibe that I'm picking up here, the gut feeling that I have is that you probably shouldn't be exclusive at this moment. And I don't think that's exactly what you're asking for. You're not asking for exclusivity, but there's a part of you that wants to, is what I'm picking up on. And it seems like if she's being active on the dating apps right now, she's not looking for exclusivity. So if you want to ask what exclusivity looks like, you can, but we all know, we kind of know what exclusivity is. So I think that you should just save that conversation for when you both decide to define the relationship. Again, asking her to be exclusive, asking her about exclusivity is this thing where it feels like you're trying to get her to soothe your anxiety when I first want you to see if you can soothe it yourself. Third date is still a vibe check. Is still, do we have good banter? It's still do we get along? It's also kind of do we have similar values, interests, core beliefs, right? It's about having fun. So I want you to just have fun, my guy. Okay. Those are all the questions that I'm going to answer today. I do appreciate that you're still listening right now. I was vulnerable. I already have a vulnerability hangover. Sometimes I was vulnerable in the intro. Sometimes when I'm vulnerable, I'm just should I have been? Ugh. And I don't like that it's tied into selling books or making money. And this isn't some devious marketing scheme where I'm trying to get you to feel bad for me. It's a way for you and I to connect and relate. And I'm glad that we feel more connected now. That being said, you can pre-order my book today. It is number 1 and number 2 on the Amazon new releases in dating category. How's it number 1 and number 2? Because the physical book and the audiobook are number 1 and number 2. So people are getting the message. And if you're in New York City or in and around New York City on July 10th, I would love to hang out with you at 29th Street Y. I will also be at Bryant Park. I will also be on July 22nd at Powell's Books downtown in Portland. Thank you so much for listening to me. It's been such a treat. For you mostly. I mean, what a treat for you. How exciting for you to listen to me, and how much more exciting would it be if we can connect in person. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.